The purpose of using data is to inform educational decisions that can lead to improved student learning. The data use process shown here gives you a comprehensive overview of data use and is applicable at all levels of the education system, from the state to the classroom. There are 4 steps in the process that support data-informed decision-making. Step 1, assessment of the present state, asking, where are we now? Step 2, analysis of the present state, looking at how are we performing? Step 3, transformation planning, that is, planning for improved learning. And Step 4, transition to a new state, where we implement these plans. The first step in assessing the present state requires identifying what you want to know. Herman and Gribbins highlight 3 essential questions that you should ask early in the data use process to get information about the current state of student achievement. First, how are our students doing? Second, are we serving all students well? And third, what are our strengths and weaknesses? These questions might be good starting points for you, or you may be at a point where you have more specific questions. Some examples could include, are there differences in student achievement across grade levels? And, are some subgroups of students performing better or worse than others? Whatever your questions, the next step is to look at the data you currently have and decide if these data will answer your questions. You will also need to decide if your data are of the type and quality that will provide accurate and reliable answers. Answering the following questions will help you decide. Will the data that we have answer the questions that we are asking? Are the achievement data from measures that are aligned to our standards valid, reliable, and free from bias? Do we have multiple measures of student performance? And do the data have integrity? That is, are they accurate, complete, secure, and unchanging? If you decide that your current data are not appropriate to answer your questions, you will need to collect additional data. Once you have the appropriate data, you are ready to analyze and interpret the data to find answers to your questions. Later in this course, you will learn about the kinds of analyses you can do with the data stored in the Arkansas Longitudinal Data System using the Quick Looks website. After interpreting your data, you will need to decide on your priorities for improving student achievement. Keep in mind that you will have more success in strengthening student performance if you set only a few priorities. These priorities should be established through a process of communication with stakeholders to build consensus. Now that you have assessed and thoroughly analyzed the present state, it is time to begin the transformation planning. In other words, planning for improved student learning. To do so, you must first identify your desired results, specifying the priority area for improved learning, and identifying specific improvement results. Next, identify the resources necessary to implement your improvement efforts, including which resources are already available, including people and materials, and any new resources you will need. The last steps in the transformation planning stage involve creating a plan to monitor and evaluate the improvement strategy's effectiveness in achieving the desired result, and again, communicating with relevant stakeholders. Once you finish your transformation planning, it is time for the final stage in the data use process, transitioning to a new state. Begin the implementation phase with a clear idea of who is responsible for what aspects of the plan and when these tasks should be completed. Implementing your plan involves collecting and analyzing data for monitoring and evaluation purposes. Your plan is not fixed in stone, and staying flexible will allow you to ultimately achieve your improvement goals. Throughout the whole process, it is important to remember that the process of data use is a cyclical one, involving questions, data collection, analysis, decision-making, and action for learning. Once one investigation concludes, another begins. If you would like to learn more about the data use process, pause this presentation using the button in the lower left-hand corner of the screen and follow the links to the Assessment and Accountability Comprehensive Center's Data Use website. You will now complete a short activity to check your understanding of the data use process. When you have finished, you will be ready to move on to Lesson 2. You have now completed Lesson 1. Now you are ready to begin Lesson 2, Types and Purposes of Assessments.